The topic is how to make a return on your investment so you can stop spending. Now, even though I have a money background, I was an assistant accountant, I worked in banking and finance, I was a money coach, had lots to do with money. I want to start with saying that I'm not giving out any financial advice. Okay, this is certainly not about giving financial advice. What I'm talking about is your mindset about investing. And this is really, really important when it comes to being a business owner. And this is something that took me a long time to do really effectively, is really thinking about investing. And I've done a lot of inner work around money. And when I did that, when I did all, continue to do inner work around money, and I still continue to do because each different level you get to requires a different level of thinking. But when I did that was when my financial situation really changed quite radically. Because for most of my adult life, I always had credit card debt, I had personal loans, and I was never good at saving. Essentially, if I wanted something, I got it on credit and I would pay it off. And funnily enough, this thinking really it probably come from a bit from my dad, but it mostly came from working in a bank. I worked in a bank for um, like 10 years altogether because ultimately banks want you to borrow money. Right? Banks want you to borrow money. Banks are a business and they have products, and those products make them money. Okay, so banks will generally make more money out of you from the debt that you have than they ever will from your savings. And if you're smart, you won't put your savings in the bank anyway because the returns that you get on cash are so low, it's really not that great, right? But anyway, like I said, this is not financial advice and it's not really about putting money in the bank or anything else or debt. But like I said, most of my adult life, I lived on credit cards, personal loans, whatever I wanted, I got it on credit. And I always paid those debts off. Like I was a good payer, but I always had debt. Now, however, I don't even own a credit card. Right? I don't have any personal loans because now I know that that's all bad debt, essentially. Okay. And it's learning the difference between assets and expenses. And most of the stuff you've got on your credit card will be an expense. Personal loans will generally be an expense. Holidays are expenses. Your car is an expense unless you make money out of it. Your car is an expense. Even if people think like assets, oh, I've got a boat, or I've got a jet ski. It's not an investment unless you're hiring it out and making money from it. It's an expense, right? It depreciates in value. It just goes down. You don't make any money out of it. You spend money on it. It ends up being worth less money than what you paid for it. It's an expense. Okay, so we've got to know the difference between what is investing, what is expenses. And like I said, now I don't have any personal debt. I focus on investing in property and super. I've got a bit in crypto and ultimately investing in myself and in my business because both of those, especially those last two things, well, property we've got good returns on, but ultimately investing in myself and investing in my business has been the biggest returns that I've ever got. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on in this episode. So one of the biggest mindset shifts that you really need to make when you go into business and or start investing is that you have to get out of the job mentality. And that is the job mentality is really about when you're trading your time for money. So you trade your time for money, you receive money, you save up an amount of that money, and then you spend it on what you want. Or if you're like me, you get in debt and, pay off what it is that you want. Now, the problem with that thinking, even though it's a very popular way of thinking, it's how the majority of the population think. The problem with that thinking is it's the slow road to anywhere. It's probably the slow road to nowhere, really. and it certainly won't help you grow your business. Now, luckily for me, the first place that I started investing heavily in, right? I'd had home loans before, but your home's not really an investment either, technically, unless you're using it's going up in value and you're taking out equity to go and invest in something else, right? Your home's not technically an asset because you're not making money out of it. You can't make any money out of it unless you sell it, and then only if you downsize. But apart from home loans, the place that I started investing in first, the most heavily, even before I could afford it, was in myself and in business. And those two things, in myself and in business, essentially went hand in hand because I invested in coaching skills. Okay, so coaching skills, investing in coaching skills doubled as my personal growth, right? Investing in my personal growth. So as the more I learned coaching skills, the more I grew personally. And then even after I had those skills, I kept investing in coaching, business coaching, understanding business, but like increasing my value in what I could get a return on from those investments. And this started even before I really knew what I was doing. Really, I kind of knew, but I didn't. So even when I was in a job, I used my own money and all of my annual leave to gain the skills that eventually turned into me having a six-figure business that allowed me to work from home and, live my purpose, helping people and creating time freedom for myself. It all paid off. Now, right when I first started doing that, I wasn't really good at getting a return investment, but I continued to invest in myself, getting some investment until that investment returns would grow and grow and grow until, I got to the point where I've got all my money back and many, many times over. And this is how I think about, what I'm going to invest in all the time now. So, like I said, when I first got started, how I didn't quite grasp the whole return on investment part so well, right? At some level, like I said, I knew I was investing in myself, but it took a while for me to get a return on that investment. But that muscle grew and grew and grew. And now I haven't really added it up properly just recently, but it's well over $100,000 that I've spent on myself and my business. And I continue to invest at least 20 grand a year back into myself through coaching and courses. And I've definitely made that money back many, many, many times over, right? It's absolutely been worth it. The important thing was that I decided I would keep going until I did. Now, what's the key thing here to know is that there were things that I invested in that did not get me a return on my investment, right? That they didn't. There's been courses that I've bought that I've never followed through on. There's been people that I've had coach me who I probably didn't get really much of a return on. There was always learnings in all of that, but I kept going until I did get a return many, many, many times over. So now, as I continue to invest in myself and my business, whatever it is I pay for, I always make sure I know before I pay for it how I will get a return on my investment. Okay, so if if I'm looking at doing another course, if I'm looking at doing some kind of course, I'm looking at the course and I'm going, okay, for this course, is it aligned with where I'm going and what I want to be doing? And will this course specifically provide me with some kind of skill or some kind of value that I'll then be able to create an offer for or improve an offer that I have to make that money and more back, right? Every single time. If I'm going to work with a coach, I look very, very closely at their business model and their skill set. And I think, is this what I want to create for myself? And can I see that I can do this for myself? And if I do that, will that then help me make plenty more money? Now, I've done that recently. There's a couple of coaches that I've invested in this year for different reasons. And both of them, I can see really clearly exactly how I get my return on my investment. The first one, I've definitely been getting return on investment. There's been things that I've implemented that have like increased sales in my business. Beautiful, good, work that out. The other one I've invested in, I'm in the process of getting a return in my investment, but I know exactly how I'm going to get that return on investment. And I'm about to launch a course that is directly related to that coach. So I'm always thinking about that. If I'm going to invest in whatever I'm about to invest in, do I know exactly how I'm going to get that money back and more? Okay, it's a return on investment. And so, how, as a direct result of investing in this, whatever it is, will I make that money back and more? That's the way that you need to think about when you're going to spend money, which is really invest money in business. Okay, so this is a mindset that you must adopt if you want to reach your business goals. And here's the thing, this is the thing that I see, and luckily it's never held me up that much. I've never got too caught up in this, but I see it in other people, right? And this is where I see, especially like coaches or people starting their business who don't have a mind for business, okay? Because maybe you've come out of a job, and definitely that transition from a job to a business is one of the hardest ones, like getting your head around sales and marketing and offers and value and money. If you've been in a job and you've never done any sales or marketing, it's a massive mindset shift, and it's a very hard one to do by yourself. And most people don't make it by themselves, right? This is why so many businesses fail so quickly. So if you're not, this is the thing, we got to remember, this is what I see. So if you're not getting where you want to go because you need more support or you need more knowledge, or you just need to be in an environment where people already have the neurology that you need to adopt, because I'm a big fan of, like, I've always paid for proximity. So I'll get as close as I can to the people who have the results that I want, because I know I'm paying for their neurology, right? Their neurology, how they think, like the literally the neural pathways that they've developed that allows them to have the outcomes that they have. And I know if I get close enough to people who have the neurology that I want to adopt, I will pick it up. I will pick it up by being around them, by hearing how they talk, by how they think, by getting to know their beliefs, their values, their life experiences, how they do things, like 100%. Okay. So if you know that you need to get more support, or you need to have more knowledge, or you need to get around people like that so you can work out that neurology for yourself and adopt it for yourself, then you must invest in yourself to get what you need. Right? You must invest in yourself to get that. If you don't already have it, you're not just going to get it by just keep on doing the same thing, right? And so this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is, so for example, I've been teaching NLP and timeline therapy and hypnosis for 8 years, and people will finish a course and they're like, yep. Then they realize that they don't know how to get clients because they've got some limitations in thinking about business. Like, everyone can get clients. That's not a problem. It's just the mindset around it. And they don't know how to get clients, or they don't, like, there's some more work that they need to do to get their mindset in the game for that. And they know of someone that they want to work with who can help them. But what they do, and this is the biggest mistake, they decide that once they start making money, then they'll invest in someone to help them. Right? Now, this is a strategy that I've absolutely never ever seen work. Right? It's a zero success rate strategy, right? If you haven't got the mindset for business and you're thinking about working with someone to help you get going in business, thinking that you're going to just get some clients first to pay for it and then invest with them, it's just like one of the craziest strategies I've ever heard. It doesn't ever work, and you're setting yourself up for failure. Okay, because it's an if then. It's an if then. If I magically get clients, then I'll invest in someone who's going to help me get more clients. Like it's literally crazy talk, and and it's really, and if this is you, I'm not saying you're crazy. Like I've been there, I've seen lots of people there. I didn't spend a lot of time there, to be honest. It's one of the things that I was pretty good at, is always like getting help. But um this is your mind trying to keep you safe. This is your mind trying to protect you from sometimes failure, but more often than not, success. Because this is the thing, right? If you don't invest in getting help to succeed, well, then your life doesn't have to change. Right? Your life doesn't have to change. And most people unconsciously have got all these fears of like, I'll put myself out there, and then who are people going to think that I am? And I'm going to have all these clients, and then I'm going to be too busy. And then, I don't want to get burned out, and da da da. And they might have all these expectations on me. Rah, rah, rah. That's all the stuff that you need a coach for, to sort that stuff out. Right. So all of the stuff that you think is an obstacle and that you're going to try and overcome before you decide to get some help, it's back to front. What you need to do is that you need to, number one, decide, what do you want to create for yourself? Okay, if you're like, okay, I want to create a business where, I make $100,000 a year, and I want to help these kinds of people because I really want to help these kinds of people, and I want to work this many days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever it is. And in these times, and I want to be able to pick up my kids or whatever else you want to do, go to my yoga classes, then you're going to get really clear about what that is, and then either work out by yourself how you're going to make that happen, or if you're not sure how to do that, find someone who can show you that. And ideally, it's someone who is already doing what you want to do. This is really important. Find someone who's already doing what you want to do. So, for example, I'm very good at creating a six-figure coaching business where I work from home and I get plenty of time. Like, I'm not coaching flat out, right? I've got boundaries around where the hours are that I work. I work from home. I've got time freedom. I make the money I want. I pay myself better for the amount of time that I work than if I was in a job. Like, I love what I do. You know, that's my life, right? And I continue to grow and evolve and all those kinds of things. And so I'm very good at creating that. So for people who want to create that, then I would be a good choice, right? Because they're like, okay, I can see Toni works with great people. She's got a great community. She's got a business. She works from home. It's all very simple. There's nothing complicated about what she does. It's very much like what I want to do. Well, then you'd go, okay, Toni would be a great coach for me, right? Because you can see that. It's very clear. It's obvious. And then you would invest and go look at, okay, is there a program that's designed for people like me? And then I'm going to invest in that, right? And I'm going to make a decision that I'm going to make that work. Okay. That's what you need to do. Now, one of the problems that I see, and this is actually some of the problems that the errors that I made when I was first investing in myself in some coaches, is one coach I invested in who, she was going to do a website for me, and I can't even remember what else she was supposed to do for me, but I was just taken in by the, oh, she's got an offer, and I met her, right? I didn't know much about business coaches or anything else. And I paid her this money, and I wasn't really that thrilled with my website. She wasn't actually getting any results that I wanted to get anyway. Like, I was just kind of taken, and it was all a bit of a butt bow. I would never work with that person again. Now, I did learn a lot of things about that process. I learned about what I didn't want, right? Which was good. I didn't give up there. I didn't go, well, that's it. I've spent, and this was back a few years ago, probably like 8 years ago, and it cost me about $5,000, and that was a lot of money for me then to be working with a coach. It's brand new business, right? And it was like, I didn't go, okay, that's it. I've tried to work with a coach. It didn't work. I give up. No, I was like, I'm determined to make this work. So I kept going. A couple of years later, I paid, I think about 17 grand to work with a coach. And they did have a lot of things that I wanted. Well, it seemed like they had a lot of things that I wanted. When I got into it, I found that probably a lot of what was on the surface wasn't really backed up behind the scenes. There was a bit of smoke and mirrors. So I did get some success from that, but I quickly outgrew that space and then, looked for, okay, who are my next coaches? So, every part of the journey, it got a little bit better. I learned a bit more. I progressed a bit more. I got clearer in my mind about what I did want and what I didn't want. And then, since then I've gone on and I'm working with some coaches now that I really like. They're very clean. They're very like what you see is what you get. Like they're very authentic. I know these people really well. I know their track records. I can see they've got really clear results. What they say is what they do. There's no like crazy going on behind the scenes. And that's really good because that's where I'm at. I'm like, I want to work with people who are, at this next level of clean. Like they've done a lot of personal development. There's not a lot of other rubbish going on. Okay, so you want to get really clear about that and find who it is that you want to work with. And then you go, okay, yes, I know what I want, because this is the whole thing. You have to know really clearly what you want so that you know who can help you get that, right? And then you decide that you're going to make it work, right? You decide that you're going to make it work, because if there's something that you really want to do and there's a market for it, right? There's people who have a problem that you can solve, and there's other people that are making money from it. Well, it's reasonable to think that you can make money from it. Okay, so if that is the case, then it's not a matter of, oh, I'll wait and see what happens. I'll wait to see if I get any clients. No, because the only way it happens is if you decide to make it happen. You have to decide to make it happen and keep going until you make it happen. Okay, so what's really important to know about this is that you can pay for the best strategy, you can pay for the best coach, you can pay for the best course, but it will still only work because you decide to make it work. Right? It will still only work because you decide to make it work. Like no one else's responsibility. So, this is a big thing for my clients when they come and work with me is, I say to them, I'm like 100%. Number one, I only work with people whose businesses I fully back. Like I fully congruently say, yes, I really believe in what you're doing and I can really see how you help people. Right? I have to be authentic and congruent about that. I can't help someone whose business I don't understand or I can't get behind. Like I can't. So that's number one thing, right? I have to really believe in it. And the second thing is when people come to work with me is that I'm very clear. It's like, I know how to help you create a six-figure business, and I can teach you all the things. I can help you with your mindset. I can do all of that stuff. I can help you get better results with your clients because I understand, I've been teaching coaching skills and understanding mindset and communication and behavior for, a long time. I can help you with all that stuff. But what I can't do is I can't do it for you, right? You have to be willing to do the stuff. You have to be willing to do the stuff. You have to be willing to decide to make it work. And this is why when it comes to business, success in business is 90% mindset and it's 90% strategy, right? It's both. It's and. Now, with the right mindset, this is why you're going to do the inner work and really invest in yourself and your mindset. And if you're starting a business or you're in business, I highly recommend that you do have someone that helps you with your mindset because like I do, I continue to do that. And I've got clients who range from, they're starting their business to clients who have been in business longer than I have. And they're doing like 20 million plus in their business every year. They're still working on their mindset. I help them with their mindset, right? You've got to keep doing that. So when you've got the right mindset, you can create success, even if your strategy is a little bit off. But you can have the best strategy in the world, but you won't make it work if you don't have the right mindset. Like energetically, you won't make it work. If you've got some underlying stuff that's blocking your success, it won't matter how good your strategy is. It won't fully work. Okay, so this is why, one of the common things of all the businesses that I work with is that, yes, we work on different strategies and we do all these things, but mostly we work on their mindset, because when you get the mindset right, you'll work out how to do the strategy. Okay, this is really important. Now, the other thing about this mindset is that when you're in business, you've got to think about business from a numbers perspective. Okay, you've got to really value having a business that is profitable, because that's the whole purpose of having a business. Otherwise, if you just want to be a coach or practitioner, go and get a job, right? Or a not-for-profit, or volunteer your time, whatever. But if you're going to have a business, you have to have a value on being profitable. And when you're in the mindset of being profitable, you can stop spending. Right? This is really important. You can get out of the mindset of spending, and instead you focus on investing, because when you make an investment, your intention is to create a return that exceeds that investment. Right? Really important. When you invest, right? Spending's just spending. When you spend, the money's gone. When you invest, it keeps coming back. And that's what you've got to really think about in your business, right? Get out of spending and get into the mindset of investing and creating a return on your investment, because when you invest, money keeps coming back time and time and time again. Okay, so my question for you, with this thinking, what do you need to invest in next that's going to help you create the biggest return in your business? Or perhaps there's something you've already invested in that you need to focus on creating a return from. Let me know. Send me a message if this has helped you. I've had some really great comments and feedback from this podcast. And yeah, I love your comments. Let me know if I can help. Reach out.